we're here with Adam Cotier here today from Industrial Avenue, and Adam's going to answer a few questions from us. So, hi Adam, welcome to the show.
How you doing, bro?
Yeah, good mate, good one. First one, so a little bit nervous, but hopefully we get this all right.
It'll be fine.
So, like in all our shows, what we're going to do, we're going to get our guests, to answer a couple of questions. So, like the first one we're going to ask you today, mate, is can you just tell us a bit about your background and what made you move to Dubai?
So yeah, lifelong career music, 21 years in the industry now. Started with a pirate radio show way back when I was a garage DJ. So I was about 14 then. Carried around my vinyl, jumping on the bus.
Yeah, like we all like to think we did.
Learned the hard way, belt drive, sound lab.
Your sound labs. Yeah, mine Gemini's.
Yeah. So just about getting the mix in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I blagged a set on a radio station, pretending I was 18, passed the trial, and that was a weekly show. So that taught me a lot. I was around some of my kind of local heroes at the time, so yeah, I learned a lot from them. Progressed from the garage era kind of into the UK funky scene as it was then. So I was always kind of involved in the baseline urban underground scene of London.
And where was this based when you were doing this?
North London.
North London, right.
So yeah, it's North London all about. I mean, studio-wise, was anything from somebody's kitchen to a broom cupboard in a council estate that we nicked the keys off the caretaker for.
Very Corrupt FM.
Yeah, I mean, look, when Corrupt FM and People Just Do Nothing came out, it was magic for me. It took me right back to the days of pirate radio. They captured it perfectly, the comedy element. I mean, sometimes I'd be there for 7 days in a row, all night, pulling all-nighters, playing to like 3 listeners maybe at 4 in the morning.
Texting away to them.
Just anything. I mean, those were the days when you craved a mix. I mean, there was only a certain amount of people who had turntables or decks at the time. There was no digital platform then. So there used to be breakaway. I mean, we'd be in a group of 10 or 15 of us, and a lot of us would DJ, and it would be like, oh, we're going to go for a mix, don't tell anyone. So there'd be 3 or 4 of us that would kind of scupper away and go and have a mix. So again, being that age there, coming from a kind of council estate background, not much money, being able to be in a studio and mix and play all my records was magic for me. So any opportunity I could, I'd be mixing, day, night, whatever. That's all I ever thought about. I used to draw up pretend lineups. I'd put, at the days then, obviously being garage, I'd put EZ, Heartless Crew,
of course,
and then me on the lineups and pin them on my wall. Dreamer playing in the nightclubs. Have
you ever seen that picture where the kids are sat in the bedroom and they've got like all the flyers up on the wall?
Yeah, so that was first and foremost. It was me creating my own flyers for imaginary raves, and then eventually, off the back of my show, I started getting booked for events at Bagley's and stuff like that. So I'd have to be snuck in through the back door by the promoters because I was underage at the time.
No longer with us, unfortunately.
Yeah, amazing place. Bagley's, it's turned into Canvas. One of my favorite ever parties was TDK, which is a festival type scenario in Goods Way in the whole yard. So you paid, I think it was like 35 quid. And you could go in and out of all the venues. So you had Cross Club, Key Club, Soundstage. Then at the time, I think Bagley's changed to Canvas. But it was just magic for me. It was that first taste of festival nightclub kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, going back to that, I had my show for about 4 years. As I said, then garage kind of changed. You started diverting. You started getting the spin-offs in grime and bassline and dubstep almost. And it started getting a bit dark, and I didn't really enjoy where it was going. So I tapped out for a little bit.
The Croydon dubstep crew moving.
Yeah, it just wasn't my type of sound. I mean, I was always a dark garage DJ as such. I'd be the one for the MCs.
Of course, yeah.
So I played the more bassline driven 2-step, but once it started going towards the dubstep and bassline stuff, it just wasn't for me. It wasn't in my taste. So I kind of tapped out for a bit. Then you had the progressive stuff going on. You had the soulful, funky house stuff coming about, which was all good, nice and uplifting. But again, it didn't really grab me. But the UK funky had that raw edge to it. It was the happy medium for me. So I tapped back into that. I created my own party called God Made Me Funky at the time.
After the famous Mike Dunn
track. For sure. It made sense. You had funky in the title. It was that kind of UK funky sound, typical kind of Deneo, the early black coffee stuff.
Of course.
you had that kind of.
See, I was up in Liverpool at that point, and it was all Scouse House.
Yeah, exactly. And again, the funky thing was the kind of the more urban spin-off from garage that made sense, and then that had a short shelf life. Unfortunately, it seemed to create trouble as garage did. The trouble from garage kind of followed that soulful UK funky stuff, and it was a very niche product. It was typically, if you was a DJ in that scene, you weren't being booked anywhere else. You were seen that you brought trouble. This kind of
pigeonholed,
yeah. But that then created the birth again of me kind of riding that kind of urban underground wave, the kind of deep house or UK deep house as you'd call it, the early kind of Jamie Jones, very old Tale of Us stuff, Andre Lodeman, these kind of tracks, Cozy D, Alexis Raphael, that kind of golden era of the creation when you had parties like Crash came about. Fuse was a bit different, but it was that kind of same time, maybe. Maybe what now, 5-6 years ago, and Fuse was already bubbling away. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, of course.
But this was more the kind of urban spin-off. It was where the people from garage and UK funky found their haven in this kind of UK or London deep house sound, as it would, which became massive, and it elevated me as a DJ. I was getting 3, 4, 5, 6 bookings a week in London. It translated. I was touring the UK with it, and it was, for me, it was electric. I still haven't found or replicated that feeling of playing to a crowd like that. It was raucous. It was, I mean, I'd be dropping tunes and people would be roaring like I'd scored a goal at the Nou Camp. Like I felt like Messi at some point, you know. People throwing money at me for reloads or how I'm dropping it. You know, it was that raucous urban feeling. And again, from the outside in, if I'm honest with you, it pigeonholed me as an artist, because there were certain connotations we play into these crowds where you had the police and Trident and all these organizations trying to shut down any of these kind of gatherings where there was more than kind of 400 or 500 people.
I suppose that timed in with like when the UK was going through like the So Solid crew.
Yeah,
a little bit,
so you had that element of it, but the people that were going to the parties here, and if I'm honest with you, there was a massive racial element to it, a racist element to it, where certain demographics of people were looked at as trouble, if that made sense. And it was frustrating being part of it. It was like church. People came together from all over London, no matter where you were from, and we came together and celebrated together and partied together. The feeling of being in there was electric.
Yeah.
I suppose for any DJ coming through, especially if you had a prolonged period or a prolonged career, there were certain golden eras for you. Where, you know, I'd walk through the crowd and be greeted by everyone. You know, everyone wanted to be a part of it. Everyone wanted to have a picture of you or to, you know, to connect with you. It was the most togetherness I've felt in terms of raver and DJ and promoter. It was golden. But unfortunately, it kind of pigeonholed me, and I knew it would. But I celebrated the people and championed the people that came to listen to me. So it restricted me from making the crossover into the wider market, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it enabled me to go on tour. I toured the world. I played at WMC Miami twice. Played ADE, Ibiza many times. But again,
so yeah, like I mean, even though you felt a bit like isolated or pigeonholed, it still opened up.
It still opened up many doors. You know?
And that's the joy of beauty of music, isn't it?
That's the thing in the music industry. A lot of people kind of come to an end of a period or find a brick wall in front of them. Not everyone is going to be Solomon or Marco Corona,
no, of course,
in the EDM world, David Guetta or Tiesto, whoever they are.
And even
you know?
all those artists have had to reinvent themselves.
You have to reinvent yourself as you go, and then it's like a footballer. You know, you got so many talented young kids that want to be footballers. Not everyone's going to play in the Premier League, so don't get disheartened if you're not going to get to the ultimate mecca or the ultimate ascendance. You know, there's many different roles. And if you want to be a footballer, you can be a coach, you can be a manager, you can be physio, you can be sports science. The same in the music industry. You can be A&R, you can start a label, you can be a promoter, you can be a sound technician, you can be a sound engineer. Yeah. I'm blessed. For 21 years I've been in the industry. I've never worked a day in my life, as I see it.
Yeah.
You know, I do what I love. And off the back of the DJing thing, I went to Ibiza. I had my own party at a venue called Heart, just near Pasha, which is a very different offering to what you have in Ibiza. It's a very eclectic, artistic mix of food, cabaret show, and nightclub.
Yeah, it's like that fine dining with the music
With
and the show.
And the mad twist, because I mean,
yeah.
you look at it, the chef there is Ferran Adrià and his brother, arguably the biggest or greatest ever chef there has ever been. Most celebrated chef, I think, most respected chef in that world there.
Yeah.
In the culinary world. Partnered up with Guy, who created Cirque du Soleil, the biggest touring circus in the world.
Who himself is a DJ and throws parties.
Exactly. He throws the most mega
He's been
parties.
to space as well, if I remember right.
Yeah.
He was an astronaut.
He's very eccentric and very artistic. And as you can imagine, Ferran Adrià was the kind of, if you think about Heston Blumenthal, who the UK market might know more, like Ferran Adrià is the godfather of that the conceptualization, science behind twisting cuisines and random tasting menus and stuff like that. So you had a massive melting pot of artistic freedom there. And the Saturday night became available. And I was running a party in London called Casa Loca at the time, which was a mix of theatre and nightclub together, which is a spin-off. I started to, as I said, the way the music was going and the lack of opportunities in elevating my career and crossing over into the wider market became less and less. So I had to carve my own market out. So I was running a party, which was, as I said, Casa Loca, mix between theatre and nightclub. So I got the call to say, look, I'm in London with the owners of Heart. We're about to go into the second season. They need something for their Saturday nights, and they need something crazy and twisted. And I've been watching what you do, and I think you're the guy for it. Can you put a proposal up right now and send it over? So okay. So put a proposal together, which was to reinvent one of the oldest parties on the island called Submission, which was created and founded by a guy called Ron Elliston, aka Rubber Ron, legend in the game for many, many years. He was the one who helped kind of guide and start parties like Manumission.
Yeah.
Submission never quite hit the heights, but it was a very popular party. I mean, you're talking booking Carl Cox for 50 quid. Their parties those days there. The original Ibiza guy.
Yeah.
So I kind of reinvented this party, bring it to life, modernized it almost, and made it a polished product, in terms of the concept and artistic direction, musical direction. Pitched it to them and they took it, thankfully. So I moved to Ibiza for that year. You had a party on a Friday called Boogie in Wonderland, booking the likes of Giorgio Moroder, Francois K, Jellybean Benitez, godfathers of
course,
electronic disco sound. On the Sundays, you had Acid Sundays, which was Acid Paulie running that party there, which then turned into Saga, which was Bedouin, which is still there now. Wednesdays was Keep on Dancing with Apollonia, like some of these kind of people. So again, I found myself pigeonholed in London. All of a sudden, I'm running my own party in Heart Ibiza on the Saturday night, headlining my own party.
Yeah.
You got the likes of Apollonia on Wednesday, Giorgio Moroder on a Friday, Bedouin, Acid Paulie, and these people on Sunday. So that was a massive turning point for me. And at that party, I met a gentleman who's very well respected and well-oiled businessman, entrepreneur, has many different venues around the world, he's the biggest single operator in the UK, and he loved what I did with the party. So he invited me back after the season finished, to the UK to open a nightclub for him in Manchester. So I had to conceptualize, create a concept, bring in the talent, branding, all this kind of stuff, and launch a new product in Manchester, something that was very different. Again, mixing elements of theatre with nightclub, cuisine, all this kind of stuff. So we opened up a 3-tiered restaurant, bar, and nightclub called Impossible, which done really well. I mean, it was an amazing period of my life. I was in Manchester for 9 months, made a lot more connections, opened up my network, opened up many more doors again. Off the back of that, I got called to Dubai. So essentially the reason I'm here.
Standard, move Manchester to Dubai, as it goes.
And I mean, it goes back to the reason I was in Ibiza was the party called Casa Loca. So then Casa Loca took me to Ibiza, which then took me to Manchester.
Yeah.
Casa Loca, the party, actually is the main reason why I'm in Dubai, because there was at the time a young kid there called Reese, who was started off as a kind of waiter, barman.
Yeah, and you work with Reese here at Industrial Avenue.
Yeah. So there's a kind of there's a mad kind of circle of life almost as to why we're here and what we're doing. And when I was running a venue called Gilgamesh in Camden, almost creative director, I ran all their events, club nights, all that kind of stuff, programmed it. A new kid came in called Reese. He was a barman, waiter, and I watched his ascendance there.
Yeah.
He was very, very astute, very, very polite, well-oiled guy, and I always knew he'd do well. So anyway, I left that place, went on with my own stuff, and he ended up being restaurant manager of the restaurant part of the club restaurant, as it was. He then moved to Dubai to open up a restaurant. I mean, we hadn't spoken in a while. He then left the restaurant, Tingari, that he championed and opened here in Dubai, a Jamaican concept, and became the operation manager of Mahiki in Dubai. I mean, Mahiki's was one of the most longest standing.
It was, back in the day. It
was closed last summer, I think. So he became operation manager for Mahiki. Now, if you're looking at Adam Cotier as a DJ and what I'm doing, Mahiki is not on brand for what I'm doing.
Of course not, yeah.
But in terms of creating concepts and brands and running those types of immersive and theatrical experiences, that's what I do. I wouldn't say on the side, I do it as much as a DJ. But it's a different part of me. So obviously, he wanted to bring the Casa Loca concept over.
Right, I get you.
So I came over to have a meeting with, firstly, Reese, who was ops manager, GM, and then with the director, Sarah at Mahiki. Pitched them an idea to help them change the brand. It was dying a little bit. And then whilst I was here, I had a series of meetings. So dancers that had worked for me in Ibiza that were working at Base and all these other kind of clubs out here. So I met with them. Was just trying to position myself, okay, if I'm going to move to Dubai, where's my network?
Who's here? Who's kicking about? Who can we tap into?
Exactly.
That's
standard
golden
thing.
golden rule number one in networking, find out who's about.
Exactly that. Working out whether Dubai is for me, asking people what it's like to live here, etc. Because if I'm honest with you, throughout the years before I came, most of the people that knew me well, knew me intrinsically in terms of my capacity and my creative kind of aspects, whether they visited Dubai, lived in Dubai, they'd always call for me to say, bro, you need to be in Dubai.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like there's so much opportunity here and a lack of creativity almost.
Yeah.
Or a lack of doing it in a certain way. You need to be in. I was always like, Dubai's not for me.
Yeah, and you've seen that change over the last course of years.
100%.
It's becoming more creative with the creation of D3.
It's definitely a massive change, and just speaking to people and seeing where the gap was made me realise there was a gap for an underground nightclub. Now, as fate would happen, before I flew out, I reached out to my father and said, look, he had a friend, a guy called Billy. He's a bit of a Del Boy character, if anyone's listening that has ever watched
there's a couple
Only
of
Fools and
his
Horses. Yeah. So he's the ultimate middleman. He knows anyone you need to know, he knows them. So I kind of spoke to him and said, look, I'm going to Dubai potentially to do a party. Is there anyone I need to meet? And he was like, look, I went to a wedding last year. One of my friend's sons got married. His name's Chris, got married to a lovely woman called Jess. They're well networked out there. Just go and see him. So when I was out here doing my business meetings for the 3 days to do with the Mahiki project, I was due to meet Chris, and it was my last meeting. Just a few hours before I was due to leave and fly. And if I'm honest with you, I completed all my business meetings. They all went very well. And then I had this one last meeting with a guy called Chris. I've never met, know nothing about him. I'm there to talk to him about what it's like to live in Dubai. And I wasn't going to meet him, I'll be honest with you. I wasn't going to meet him. I made a phone call home to someone, spoke to him about the trip and said, look, I'm supposed to be meeting this guy, Chris, but I'll be honest with you, I can't be bothered. I don't want to meet some guy for small chat. I don't know. Of course. And he was like, look, just go and meet him. So I was like, okay, we'll do it. So I've gone and met him. Can't remember what it was, Doubletree maybe in JBR, Doubletree by Hilton. I think that's where we met. And when I turned up, he was already there. And the first thing he said, I'm not going to be funny, mate. He said, I wasn't going to come. He said, it's my birthday tomorrow. And obviously, like, I'm planning what I'm doing tomorrow. He said, obviously, friend of the family, kind of almost stuck it on me. He was like, look, what do you want? Kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, look, explain my situation. I'm potentially moving here. I'm doing a project here. Someone said to come and see you about networks and how it is to set yourself up here and what it's like to live here, etc. Housing, all the bits you need to know, all that kind of stuff. And it was just, as I said, just general small talk for about 15-20 minutes. And then after about 20 minutes, I saw his body language change. He came in towards me and his face looked inquisitive and he was like, you're different. He said, tell me more. He said, I like your ideas. He said, it's definitely, I've been here for 12 years myself. Your ideas seem radical and it seems like that's what's needed here. More of a creative brain and someone who sees things outside the box almost. And we sat there for 3 hours talking about concepts and what I've done before and what I would like to do and potentially what the gaps are in Dubai. Now, Chris Never been involved in nightlife in his whole life. Never been a fan of nightclubs, so to speak. And then after the meeting, we really got on. After the meeting, he dropped me off. He said, "Look, bro, if I'm ever in London, I'll give you a shout."
Course, yeah.
And that's how we left it. 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from Chris to say, "Look, I've just had a meeting, chance meeting with the GM of the Westin Hotel, and he's got a space in there that's not being used, and he wants me to help him with something. And it's not really my thing, but obviously I met you the other day, and I think maybe we can do something. Do you want to put a concept together?" Similar to the phone call I got about Heart. You know, just, "Bro, can you put a concept together?" So I was like, "Okay, look, going on for what we spoke about, there's a massive gap for an underground nightclub, like a fully fledged." So I understood that there were certain pockets of the underground.
Yeah, and this place was crying out for
it. You know, and I'm not here to say that we are the first of any kind. What we've done, I feel, with IA is helped to propel that underground sound. You know, there's been people here championing for many years, people like Mehdi and Analog Room and Secret Circle and all these events. You know, there's been people here, so it's not like I've come in almighty and I've massively changed. I think I've been helped to be a catalyst. And essentially, when I pitched the idea to the hotel, I think it was that radical that they took a punt on it, and it got accepted straight away. I flew back over, and within 6 weeks, we'd built industrial,
and that was it.
And that was it. So a chance meeting with Chris, who is now my business partner and owner.
And that's how these things happen, you know.
Yeah,
chance meeting, sit down and have a chat, and you meet someone, and away you go.
Exactly that. And then going back to why I was here in the first place, Reese, who called me out, who I met 5 or 6 years before as a barman or a waiter, is now my GM and ops manager here.
Yeah, and you know the golden rule is over here. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Who you know, for sure. Like the reason we took the project on, there was some red flags. Chris had never been involved in nightlife before. I've been a DJ, promoter. I've done everything other than operate.
Yeah, seeing what the bank balance looks like.
Yeah, you know, those kind of things. But if you're looking at fate, now you should never really, business should never depend on fate. But there was an element of fate in how it all came together in terms of right place, right time, right location, right people, right opportunity. All these boxes just tick, 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 tick. And then obviously, other than the obvious red flags of how much it's going to cost to set up, business licenses, this, that, the other trading.
All the bit, yeah.
The bit that no one ever thinks about.
All the nitty gritty.
People just turn up to a nightclub and think, "Oh yeah, it's just magic."
It's like building a house and you go over budget. You're like, man, just put another 20 grand on.
So yeah, off a chance meeting, and in a long answer to your first question, that's why I'm here. You know, it's come from the days of me being 14, carrying around vinyl in plastic bags, to a pirate radio station in a broom cupboard of a council estate. Fast forward all these years and touring the world and DJing and everything. Now I'm here, championing,
and pushing the scene.
You know, and basically giving a platform for people to perform and have artistic freedom.
And that's what any developing culture in a city, like, and that's what it needs. You know, it happened in London years ago. It's happened in Liverpool. It's happened in the UK rave culture. It happened in Chicago with house music, Detroit with techno, and across Europe.
And that's where I feel like we're at a tipping point in Dubai. We're talking about culture creation, culture shifting, economic status, the difference in people's outlook in how they're dressing, how they're celebrating, how they're spending, their habits and stuff like that. And if you look at your example you just said, I've been privy and been privileged to be at the birth of different genres and scenes throughout the years. Now, I think what's happened with Dubai over the last, 8 to 10 years, very much copy and paste. Big budgets, wealthy kind of owners or investors wanting to champion Dubai. And they're essentially looking at the rest of the world. That works in Vegas, that works in France, that works in Europe. Bring it here. So they're not building culture from the ground up. You've got brands that are successful in a certain region for a reason. And essentially what they're not thinking of is that brand or concept or genre or scene is starting to tail off naturally where it is. Anyway.
I mean, a classic example over here was Pasha.
There you go.
Look at Pasha, you know, it had all these expectations of being exactly what it's like in Ibiza and like what it was like in London and New York, and it just unfortunately didn't work here.
Exactly,
you know?
and that's why if you're not building culture from the ground up here, it's going to have a shelf life, or you're going to have to throw money after money on it, you know, and that's what I want to try and do, you know, here. And as I said, there's pockets of underground and massive pockets of culture. What's really good to see is after opening this type of venue, this type of concept, and the message that we're portraying, the music, the people, the dance floor, we are the 99%, you know, come as you are. I've found that there is even more creativity than I ever thought possible here.
Yeah.
There's a melting pot of creativity, and people just not being able to have that platform. And that's for many different reasons. You've got restrictions in this region across the board. You've got monopolies on how things are ran, and it's old school here, you know. And slowly but surely, things are becoming relaxed, and I think there's a drive for culture and subculture to be developed here.
Definitely.
And for me, the main message in what I'm trying to do is we need to build culture for the UAE by the UAE. You know, yeah, we can tap in with some international help here and there, but let's build up culture from the ground up where people want to take our concepts and take them to their regions, you know, rather than beg, borrow, and steal, copy, paste culture.
And this is why you were probably fitting to be the first guest in terms of like what we're trying to achieve here with the EMA, Emirates Music Association. You know, me and the founders have sat and like had a chat about like it's all about culture.
Yeah,
and you've got to build the culture starting from somewhere. So So well, the next question really is, you know, you've had quite a lot of great success with Industrial Avenue and Sesh and Steely, and you know during the week, and obviously you've added to that. You know, so. What do you think the key factors are to success for the venue or the nights that you put on?
I mean, first and foremost, the venue is so contrasting. It for me, the concept wouldn't have worked. It just felt right. As I said, all the moving parts before, right place, right location, all that kind of stuff. But aesthetics-wise, I mean, we literally could have just put a system in here and opened.
Yeah.
It has that warehouse feel. So what I've loved doing over the past year, I stand in between the bar and the entrance, and I watch people's faces that come in. I love people watching, and you get people that come in and like, wow, this is like home. This is like New York. This is like the place I go to in New York. This is like Ibiza. This is like London. You know, giving it that authentic representation of firstly contrast in what you expect in Dubai, opulence, VIP culture, tables, sparklers, gold, all this kind of stuff. Which don't get me wrong, there's a place for it, and there's no wrong or right answer. You know, there's only opinion. That's all there ever is. So to be able to open a venue that felt familiar to people, not pretentious, and I think that was a massive factor in the early success. It was so contrasting. I mean, look, I built a toilet on the entrance. Purpose.
Yeah, as soon as you walk in the club.
Yeah, so the idea was like, how could I create organic traction? I don't have the budgets, the marketing budgets, or the artist budgets that other places have.
Yeah.
So I've got to, first and foremost, start to create organic traction. How can I get people to talk about this venue real quick, other than the obvious that it's an underground warehouse style thing? So I'm like, okay, we're in the Westin, family, corporate-driven hotel, quite old school, 5-star resort. Then you got a super contrasting, underground, almost Berlin-esque, East London car park type, you know? How do I gel the two together?
Good description,
So I'm like, okay, you enter into this 5-star Westin hotel. You go into a toilet. Stereotypical. We built a toilet and then smashed it and graffitied on it.
Yeah.
You know, and it just felt like it had been worn out, which is exactly what we wanted. You walk into this kind of cube space, squared space, with 2 urinals and 2 normal cubicles, as they are. And when people first came in, they didn't know where to go. Because
left, right, up, down.
You push one of the urinals and come through for anyone that's not been here or seen it. So I think that, again, small talking points, the aesthetics of the place, and then offering on a Thursday night with Steezy, it's just come as you are, it's pure raucous jump off hip hop.
Yeah.
Again, massively contrasting what you normally get. You've got predominantly offerings with hip hop where you have 70% tables. People either sitting down or on tables for whatever reason. 30% dance floor, if that. And when I did my market research, when I went to all the clubs, the first thing I've coming in from the cold to Dubai, I'm like, where do you go if you don't have a table?
Yeah,
you're at the bar, and
very true.
You're almost left alone, and you stand at the bar. People are pushing past you to get drinks. You feel left out. You feel substandard. You feel like you're looking up to these tables, and you feel lesser.
And there's an element of claustrophobia as well.
Yeah, you know. Yeah. So we were like, okay, look, if I had enough time, as I said, from concept creation and sign off to build and open was 6 weeks.
That's a short time frame.
So
and a flip round time.
Super flip round time for the first projects as well. And if I had my way and for example, I had 3 months lead time, this venue probably would have been electronic music. So it would have been house, techno, drum and bass, this kind of sound here. But I needed almost a low-hanging fruit, which at the time was hip-hop. Now, hip-hop's dying massively for different reasons. It will come again. Cycle of life. Yeah.
It's a Lion King moment.
Yeah, there you go.
Simba
up there. I bet everyone's imagining it as well. So the idea was, okay, right, we'll go over hip-hop night, but it has to be raucous. It has to be jump off. It has to be New York. It has to be real gritty and underground. So I met with every major player and DJ before we opened. We ended up really connecting with one of the most long-standing figures here in hip-hop music and R&B, in Crown Prince, DJ Crown Prince.
And he's been here for
a long time. You know, he's almost like the godfather or the uncle, if that makes sense. And he brought his younger brother, who just at the time just moved here.
Okay.
Colin, or his DJ name's Corleone. And then the younger guy called Namdi, who goes by the name of One Tech Nando's. And all the people we spoke to, a lot of people got it, but they really were like, this is
the instant connection.
This is real, and they got the direction. And where I was saying I want artistic freedom, like all the DJ I met said the same thing. GMs will come over to them, right, play this song quickly. Someone just bought a bottle show, play the Superman track. The DJ's like, but I can't play it now. You're going to ruin the flow. It doesn't matter. It's all about the show.
Yeah.
So we're like, look, no shows. Artistic freedom. Play what you want.
About the artist.
The connection. It's a dance floor club. And at the time, Namdi, he's a young producer. He's followed by the new wave of kids that have grown up here, African expats, Arab expats. You know, he's a massively popular guy. Really nice and humble as well, and super talented. And that just blew up from day one because it was a release. A lot of the kids we had in there, if I'm honest with you, the Thursday night, as I say kids, I'm older now.
Yeah.
It's 21 to 25-year-olds, predominantly.
That's your demographic, isn't it?
That's it on a Thursday night. And this is a place where they all come together. We have dance-offs. You've got crews battling against each other. You've got girls and guys battling off against each other on the dance floor. We've had stage dives, all this kind of stuff. It's just that raucous, new age, hip-hop, punk, rock crossover feel.
Of course, yeah.
Where these kids are just literally letting loose. They have nowhere else to go. You can't go to these other clubs. And again, there's nothing wrong with what these other clubs are doing, but you can't go to these other clubs and let loose like this. You're slowly seeing it translate.
Yeah.
These clubs are realizing, actually, we need a vibe in here. Let's get these kids in, even if it's a few of them, let them create the vibe, and then people bounce off of that, So I think that was, we hit the ground running from that. I mean, it's been packed out from day one. We've never had a Thursday where it's not busy. The only Thursday I think we took a dip on, or Steezy as the Browns, when we took New Year's Eve on, which is one of the only mistakes we've ever made in terms of everyone was at house parties, everyone was at concert type things. We took a bit of a dip, but
New Year's it can either be a success.
Exactly. Even throughout the years of when I've played at parties for the last 15 years.
I've been to a couple of parties here where it promises the world, and there's big international DJ, and there's 2 of you.
I think you can just never tell. It's like, especially being in the marina, they shut all the roads off and stuff. People can't travel. People end up just doing house parties and stuff, which is cool because you don't get much of that here.
Yeah.
As I said, Steezy was a massive part in bringing some notoriety to what we were doing in terms of how different we are. You'd bump into people a bit. I've seen the videos. It's crazy. I can't believe that's in Dubai. People messaging the DJs from New York and the States and the Caribbean said, "Bro, what's that party you playing at?"
See the power of social media nowadays.
Yeah, and then people are like, and it's like, that's my residency in Dubai. And they're like, that's not Dubai. It's like, it's Dubai. So we started to change people's popular opinion of what you could do in Dubai.
Yeah.
You can flip it on its head, There is a massive market for people to express themselves. And that's what it's all about. It's about coming together, expressing yourself, dress as you please. I mean, you pretty much get in anything you want in this club other than open-toe sandals for health and safety reasons.
Of course, yeah.
Other than that, you want to come in a cool tracksuit. You want to come in a suit. We don't encourage suits.
Wrong place, wrong time for that one.
But the idea is come as you are, like on the door. You're never going to come to the door and feel unwelcome or unwanted.
And that's a good thing,
Now,
because there's quite a few places that I've been to in Dubai and know people's opinions that, you get to the door and it's a case of look you up and down and go, not tonight because you're wearing it.
I mean,
that old school myth of
if 4 dudes turn up in suits, we'll say, look, do you know what kind of place this is? What kind of party it is? You're welcome to come in if you want. It might not be your thing, but check it out, And that's for themselves, and then they'll whip off their blazer.
20 minutes
bang,
later, the ties are on there, and sort of like Rambo.
And everyone's they're just like, oh wow. and one of the most satisfying things in a way, or two of the most satisfying things, when people walk through and talk to me or talk to any of the staff or whatever, and they're like, I can't believe this is here. Whilst it's beautiful, it's frustrating that our marketing budget's not as big as we want it to be, but it means I'm still bringing in new faces all the time. It is. That's the matter. And I love talking to people, and they're like, I can't believe what you've done here. It feels like home. It's so different. I get to come and express myself, all this kind of stuff.
As you said, just touched on there, like the most powerful tool is word of mouth.
Yeah, 100%. And it's taken us a while. I'm not going to lie. It's taken us a while to be received to the wider audience as, okay, fair. Whether you like it or not, okay, fair. You lot have been in now, you stay there, you're still doing well, fair. There was a big divide. It created a massive divide, especially with girls at first. Girls would walk in heels and be like, whoa. Eventually the girls got it. They turn up in sneakers
not used to the raw and the readiness of it. They used to the free dance floor and the tables.
And the tables and stuff. And so it took a while. It took a lot of hard work and
blood, sweat, tears.
Yeah, and it took an open mind to be able to listen to people's opinions. And some people say, do you know what, mate? I wouldn't be seen dead in there. That's not my thing. And I'm like, fair. It's cool. 3 months later, they're in there.
Everyone's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah, no, and I love it. It helps me develop what I'm doing. Yeah, it helps me develop what I'm doing. And it's even what I do as a DJ. It's a subconscious thing. When people say, I've been DJing for a while, what do you do? It's a subconscious thing. When I get up in the booth, when I arrive at the venue, I'll pick up on where in the room is popping, where's not. Who's not receiving that kind of music well, blah, blah. And it all kind of calculates in my head subconsciously. Then I get into the booth and I bring everyone together. It's the same way if I'm looking at the wider demographics of people I'm trying to attract. I need to know who doesn't like my product.
Of course, yeah.
To understand how I can tweak it, not so much so that my baseline crowd.
Yeah, you're not
losing. How? Okay, what don't you like about it? Okay, does that make sense? Can I get you in a different way and come in and enjoy yourself? Look, it even translates to the point that we were never meant to have any tables in this club, other than the one big table that we nicknamed the baller table in inverted brackets, which was a tongue-in-cheek. Okay, yeah, your ballers,
you can have it if you want,
you know. But the demand was there. So yeah, it's I don't know. I lost where I was then.
We were just saying like the success of the venue and the night.
Oh yeah, so even sorry, going back to that. So in terms of how it's perceived and received, we get some big spenders. That's where I was going with the table point. We get some big spenders that are normally dropping 20, 25, 30 Ks in other clubs, coming down, and they'll drop a lot less in our club. But they'll walk away and they'll come up to us and say, best night I've had in ages.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I mean, like you've had success with like the venue, Industrial Avenue, and the night that I'm most come down to, which is Sesh, obviously, yeah. And one of the things I really liked about the brand and Sesh was like you built it on local residents originally, and you've got involved a couple of internationals and stuff. Is that the way you see it going in terms of dipping into internationals every year?
Definitely dipping in
and using the local kids, the local city, talent.
Yeah, I mean, look, throughout the years, in terms of the parties that I've created and birthed myself, has always been about a good pool of residents that understand each other, that act like family. That's the whole point. That for me, that's the whole point of building a brand. Anyone can go and splash the cash on a big DJ. I mean, it's harder and harder to get these DJs now anyway. But for me, being able to pull in a tight-knit team that all understand something and also give people a platform and an opportunity. And there's a severe lack of opportunity here for many different reasons in terms of licenses, NOCs, visas, all this kind of stuff.
The joys of getting a DJ license in Dubai sometimes.
It's just crazy. So we figured out that the Friday night would be our house and techno night, as if you want to call it. Came up with the name Sesh, very UK-centric phrase. Means many different things for different reasons. Essentially, the idea in using the word Sesh is to continue the party. Friday, it's brunch capital of the world here. Everyone's out on a brunch. Everyone's doing something on a Friday. The idea is to come and continue your session.
Cool. Yeah.
in the club. So that's why we nicknamed it Sesh. Again, it was trying to draw in that kind of UK-centric, deep tech house market that we thought there was a gap for here, which there
was. Completely agree.
Exactly. So it was mixing the connotation and being clever with words and branding and stuff like that, but also massively plugging into trying to find local talent. Now, generally speaking, local talent, long-standing parties here, more melodic techno sound. A couple of little micro house parties, skippy beats as I call it.
Yes.
But there was no contingent for deep tech kind of UK sound. It was growing and growing.
Well, it's becoming a bit more of a stable night or sound worldwide.
Worldwide,
you know,
like, exactly.
If you look at the likes of Elrose and and those places, that's this. You know, they're kind of their vibe and
you
their
look
sound.
At someone like Fisher now. I mean, he divides opinion, greatly divides opinion. Yeah. Fisher does. I say good luck to him. Anyone that's doing that well at the moment, I say good luck to him. But there's always a tipping point when you see a new genre come through. And Fisher's reached that tipping point where it's almost gone EDM commercial. Yeah. Which will allow what will happen is the people making that sound or were trying to elevate towards Fisher's level, it tails off. So then you have breakaway subgenres come off the back of that because it's gone so big, tech house, and it's on such a big stage now with artists like Fisher. You'll get spin-offs and you'll get deep tech spin-offs and stuff like that, and it will reinvent itself and you'll get newer music instead of everyone trying to copy that one sound.
You know, you mentioned before about Fuse, like there's some of the stuff coming off the new Fuse, like Archie Hamilton stuff, which is like that deep tech house.
You've got deep tech house, and then you've got Seb Zeta making garage music almost. You know,
that, again, it comes back to that full cycle again.
You know, it's magic like that. And yeah, Sesh essentially was built off a core team of residents. I had to try out a few different people. I'm all for giving people an opportunity. They have to firstly, they have to have the talent. They have to have the drive, but they also have to understand what we're trying to do here. Yeah. And they have to fit the family. And they have to understand that they'll make sacrifices, and so will we, but we will all get there in the end. And that's what it's all about for me. So then to elevate the night, we bring in a couple of internationals. I think the first international we had was Left Wing and Cody.
Yes.
Then we had Roscoe, which is quite a niche booking for Dubai. However,
Roscoe's sound is probably more famously well known for.
Yeah, exactly. So it was good. It was good that it got a lot of people out of the woodwork. It was that first taste of kind of Fuse that they might have had over here, especially if they've only just moved there, all that kind of stuff. And off the back of that, we did a massive collaboration, the first official collaboration with a Burning Man camp in Dubai, which was championing a fundraiser for the district stage when Nathan Barretta headlined. Ben Seagrin came over from the district stage in Burning Man camp. And it was the first official collaboration. It was an all-day and all-night party. First time we'd used the terrace. It was immense. I mean, it was a massive sense of achievement that we'd started this underground nightclub. We'd got a stalwart hip-hop night, underground hip-hop night. The Friday we worked hard. I mean, there were points on the Friday where I didn't quite know whether it was the right thing.
Was it going to work? Was it going to click?
100 people, 110 people in a big main room.
The joys of being a promoter.
Being in the DJ booth and filming from certain angles to make it look busier. Just so I didn't feel disheartened and discouraged, and just to show that look, we're building something. And it slowly started picking up. You know, when we bring Left Wing and Cody, it jumped from like an average 200 person night to 550, and that's when it was like, okay, cool. Yeah, this is how we do it. Brought a few friends over from London. They played, jumped up again. And then by the time we hit the Burning Man party, which was April this year, we had 1,400 people come through the doors.
It was a big event.
Massive event.
I do remember it, yeah.
So many new faces through the door, and it's exactly what we wanted to do it for. So many people who had trepidation and were a little bit anxious about coming to the venue. They didn't quite get it. They came in and like,
oh, hello.
Wow, you know. 2 weeks after that, we'd been nominated in the What's On Awards for Best New Nightclub and Best House and Techno Event. Now, me being the skeptic I am, coming from where I come from, awards like this, I'm speaking openly and honest now, and this was my opinion that I had formed over the years before, that these kind of awards are bought and paid for.
Yeah.
Okay, you've got topical awards run by media, whoever it is. And I always thought a certain amount of advertisement buys you this award and all this kind of stuff. And this is me talking open and honestly now. And our budgets were so small. We were very new. I was up against the giants. And I mean, even just to be nominated that first year, alongside the likes of Soho and everyone else, so I consider to be, you know, there's many amazing operations here. You know, I've got to commend Soho and what they're doing, especially now. You know, it's just a monster operation. I've got so much admiration for what they do. So just to be nominated in with the likes of these, like, I was buzzing for it. But I was also a little bit like, come on, we're not going to win. Yeah. Like, you know, do I really want to go? And I suppose that was me kind of being a little bit, I don't know, disheartened to think that, like, okay, we've been nominated. I love what we're doing.
Is it a token gesture?
Is it a token gesture? Is it a real thing? So we went. I had no expectations at all. The award, or the nominees for the award for Best House and Techno Night came up, and again, we were in very good company. And this year, they introduced a new segment, which was highly commended. Yeah. So like a kind of second place, well done. So when I found that out, I was like, okay, we're really different. We're the small guys. We're underground. We might get the highly commended because it's so different. And then the likes of Soho, Blue Mine, and whoever else is nominated, the giants. Yeah, the big boys. They walk home with the award. Of course they do. So the highly commended one went to Play Nomad. So I was like, that's us done then. I just turned around and carried on talking. And then boom, they announced the winner, Sesh at Industrial Avenue. And that feeling was like, going from the feeling of forming this misled opinion that awards are only ever bought and paid for. Yeah. There's no integrity to them. You know, like the small guys don't win, you know, all this kind of stuff. To then feeling that feeling. I watched the video sometimes when people were filming us, the reaction that me and Reese had, where we're just literally like, It was crazy. And it was essentially a pat on the back to say, keep going. Yeah. You know, an award means absolutely everything, but absolutely nothing. That's how I look at it. It hangs up in our club, and every now and then, if I'm feeling down, I'm struggling, I'm overworked, so I'm struggling for a creative edge. I look at that award, I'm like, no, keep going. Little glimpse. That's it. Back in the game. It sounds a bit cliche, but it was a massive, massive pat on the back and vindication for the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears that gone into it. So as soon as that award comes, it comes just before we close for Ramadan. So we're like, okay, look, we now got to start thinking bigger. We've been recognised. We're now on the radar. Momentum. The key, yeah, of course. Let's turn it up a little. So then Sesh went from a residence party with a sprinkle of internationals to right, let's open up. So we open up with Hector. Hector, one of the longest standing DJs, if you look at the Blue Marlin Law and what he's done in and around, hasn't been back for a couple of years. Came and opened for us. It was a huge booking for us. Super interesting guy. I think I was here. I was having dinner with you guys. Yeah. I was amazed by his stories. You know, talking about his story about working in Phonica Records and with Heidi. I think. Yeah, all these other people. Yeah, in London, money. Yeah, he was working on it. And he's obviously set up the studio in Barcelona. Yeah, so he went to Berlin with everyone. Now he's in Barcelona. He's telling us about who he lives with and his complex and all this kind of stuff. And it's just a super interesting dude. If I'm honest with you, I really didn't expect him. Full of knowledge as well. Yeah, full of knowledge. You know, really cool guy. And then he went on to play one of the best sets we've ever had, if I'm honest with you. The most left field set, if that makes sense. I'm not talking about a genre left field, if that makes sense. He was doing things I've not seen done here. He was just going for it. He had the 3 decks. He was doing 2-bar loops with 8-bar loops with 16-bar loops. I remember watching him behind the decks and trying to film it to like pick up some tips. Like we were all in the booth behind, all of us DJs, Jay from Dance FM, everyone else, and we all kind of look at each other like, what is he doing? Has he just done that? Oh, yeah, he has, isn't it? It was amazing. He had the crowd in the palm of his hand. And again, I was like, wow, this is season 2. Yeah. Yes. Kick on. Week after, we had WAF. WAF for me as well. So when we first opened the club, or when we were opening the club, Chris is not into house music. So he was like, give me an example of someone you'd want to book. And I'm like, well, look, on the Friday, we're going for this kind of UK-centric tech house sound that's growing around Europe and around the rest of the world. WAF's the kind of perfect dude for it. Yeah. We would never have got him during season 1. No. Just so happened there was an opening. We were pitching other DJs. We had a list of DJs we were going for. Hector took the opening, which I was very grateful for. And then all of a sudden, WAF came about. The agent came back and said that WAF's available the week after, which put me over budget. Yeah. But I was like, look, gotta get him. It was a romantic. Again, it was that romantic reminder where we come from. And when I was talking about budget, Chris was like, look, who's the guy that you said you want to book when we first opened? because because I knew I couldn't go after the Corollas and the Solomons. I can't.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So it was like, who can you go for realistically? Who'd be your top midline headline, if that makes sense at all? And that's no disrespect to WAF.
No.
I was like, WAF. So we went ahead with WAF. And then since then, we've mixed residents with co-pros. We've got co-promotion with a partner called Do the Art or Doth Art.
Yeah. From
Beirut. Really hardworking guys, super creative and artistic. Again, they bring in a new element to it. They bring in the Lebanese crowd, the Arab expats.
Yeah.
You know, it's showing that we can all come together. Different demographics can come together and find haven in this underground environment.
Sometimes that's probably one of the things in Dubai is people pigeonhole somewhere, like getting stereotyping it, you know, about like that is only that club for that certain people. And
exactly.
That's the person who wants to go to that club.
So it's just about picking my battles and picking my collaboratives, which they're working very well. We've got Max and Dayan who come in, and they do a more micro house sound. They collaborate in the main room with us.
Yeah.
Dean's
obviously the guy who's like the creationist of
Groove on the Grass
along
with
Warren,
yeah.
And you know I've worked with them for multiple years.
Yeah. Again, it's a very good tight knit family of people that we've got here, and we all understand what the project is.
Yeah.
You know, there's opportunities for people like Dayan to go and work with bigger organizations. There's opportunities for other people. This is the real creatives and forward thinkers. This is ground zero.
Yeah.
And everybody wants to be part of it. And they want to be part of it for the right reason. It's not me saying that people want to come in and be part of my project or our project. No. It's not that. It's a collaborative thing.
Yeah, it's that
people know it's
community
hub.
Yeah, exactly.
It's essential for the growth. You know, when I spoke to you before about why potentially the scene stands still here and the lack of a circuit that you'd get anywhere else in the world, a circuit of, okay, this dude grafts his way up, becomes a resident in the club. He then gets picked up. He plays second headline in another club. He then becomes a headliner in another club in the region. And he starts to circulate and circuit. And over here, there's a certain element of politics. There's a lack of collaborative effort here, just ingrained in how it is. And that's sometimes how it goes. And it takes something like this to break the cycle.
Yeah.
You know, recently we did a collaboration with Elevate the Wednesday night at V in the Conrad. Which is the first kind of time I've seen it in this region where you have a clear crossover.
Yeah, it's not that doesn't very often happen.
Yeah, and it was a beautiful turnout.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Got to
mix
all the
crowds.
years I've been going out and know it, that it's really kind of happened. So I might stand.
Yeah, there may
be listening. Stand corrected.
But hopefully we help to magnify or add to any collaborative efforts that are going on at the moment, how big or small they are. But the idea is that we need to work together. We need to talk. If you look at the big guys and who they're booking at the moment, I mean, nowhere else in the world would you see people going at it like that.
Yeah, and we had the conversation a couple of weeks ago. I say it's like the club wars of the 90s it's in the UK, where you're gate crashing Cream.
Yeah, and they're just going at each other. Boom, boom,
and again, it's a bit like Vegas, where you've got 15 nightclubs in one area, and everyone's booking superstar headline DJs.
You know, it's sustainable if you want it to be, in terms of however you're looking at it as a business model or whatever, but also if you're looking at the effect it has on people's psyches and what they want, and eventually you get bored of that big room, big, giant, over the top. You want to see these big guys every now and then, you know, which is, look, there's no right or wrong answer to how people are doing things. But for me, this almost club wars that's going on between the big guys is, I watch it from the outside in. I'm not part of that. We're way too small to even think that we're in this kind of battle, as you could call it. And I wish good luck to each and every one of them. And I think it's great in terms of the bigger the artist, the bigger the notoriety you get in the region. And all of a sudden, again, Dubai is becoming a more sought after place for international acts to play.
Definitely. And I remember the days when the biggest guys you were getting were the drum and bass boys, and that was because you could get them over. There was a niche market. People wanted to play, and people would put parties on. Like Benny used to do stuff for Global Funk. There was old places called. There was an Amnesia here in Dubai, which was at the old Hard Rock, which is at the bottom of Media City. You know, so like
drum and bass called Bassworks. Is that
Bassworks? It's still going. Woody still runs that. Yeah,
I see it's at Analog Room.
Yeah, it's gone back to Analog Room with Mehdi, and their purpose-built venue. Obviously, a bit like yourselves. Yeah, they've gone and done what you've kind of done here and built a purpose-built underground.
That's it.
Venue as well. So yeah, but yeah, there's a saying. There's definitely a massive progression in
For sure. And then what it enables clubs like Industrial Avenue and Hatch and these kind of clubs here, enables us to kind of, I don't know, the market becomes educated more, you know. There's a bigger pool of people that are attracted to this now. You see that the swings now, it's gone back into house music here. You're seeing the likes of Mantis now doing a Sunday night house music party.
Yeah.
You got Code that come and just blown the market away, you know. Blue Marlin will come again, every bass on a Thursday, you know. And what it does is it attracts the masses to it. And then you have break-off groups that go and listen to these big artists and then get into house music and say, actually, I like this kind of sound. Oh, I can find that sound at Analog Room or at Industrial Avenue or at the Hatch.
Yeah.
More intimate
it's
vibe.
not just one venue trying to get every bit of sound out. You've got 5 or 6 venues that do a different sound.
So as much as I call it a battle, it's a battle that those guys are fighting directly or indirectly between themselves. And again, I commend anyone who's willing to put on such lineups. It's massive for the region, you know. People tap into it. But it also helps the underground grow because you have that cycle and spin-off and breakaway. So it's all good for the region, you know. The art agents that I'm talking to now compared to a year ago, it's a massively different conversation.
Big time.
It's more sought after. So Sesh will continue down that route of collaborations, splash of international artists, budget pending.
Yeah.
And also, when I'm talking to artists, I want artists that buy into what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want someone to come and play for the sake of it. And I know a lot of artists kind of, when they hear the word Dubai, it's like, maybe. And what I'm getting now is I'm getting conversations with the artists. So when I'm provisionally booking them, the artist will tap me up. Say, I'm
what's it like?
Looking forward to coming now.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas before they were turning up and saying, I didn't know what to think. This is amazing. Now they're like, I've heard about it. I want to play. Boom.
And the other thing that probably supports your vision and your plan with it is what you're doing on a Monday with Motto, isn't it?
Yeah, Monday and Motto. So Motto is a party I started in Shoreditch in Basin House, my favourite small venue in London. Super intimate. I call it Rave Cave. It's just dripping sweat. Everyone goes in there. It's a little box room, maybe 300 capacity, function one sound system, and it's just amazing. If you're looking for that small intimate sweaty vibe, if you would. So I started that there. That ran for about 2 years. And then obviously I left it alone when I kind of moved here. But in Industrial Avenue itself, we have a secondary room called the Shoreditch.
Yeah, which is a bar which is open most days.
Yeah, it kind of acts as a bar. We have smaller promoters come in and it kind of acts as a more of a platform for the smaller promoters. That essentially the nightclub itself Industrial Avenue runs on a Thursday, Friday. For the big room sound, you know, almost. Then the Shoreditch opens it up to smaller promoters and creatives and gives a platform for other people. So how I've translated Motto here is by having a pool of DJs, 10 of them. Again, it's like a family environment. We all come together and I put people on rotation. They get to play the music. It's an industry-based night, essentially, for me. It's a hangout. There's not many places you can go on a Monday night to listen to decent underground music in an underground setting. So it's based around about 10 residents on rotation. And then we offer anyone who's in the industry, whether they work in a bar, restaurant, club. Yeah. Monday's normally the nights off. If not, if they're finishing at 11, 12, come down after.
Yeah, come down after, of course.
So that's what Motto's about. And then what I'll do, I mean, look, this interview is one of many where I'm talking about collaborative efforts in the region, helping create culture and the likes of Dance FM. You know, I'm speaking with them about how we can create initiatives to find new talent, birth new talent, speak about the importance of radio. Essentially why I'm here today is because of radio.
Yeah, and one of the reasons, again, we've started this podcast up EMA, Emirates Music Association, is it's not just about putting a radio show out, putting some music out. It's about educating, talking to people in the local scene, yourself, people that are maybe educators, people that work in the marketing and the PR side of it as well, to give people that more of a cultural, or a basis of knowledge across the
base of knowledge and how we can all grow together. Yeah. And again, it's not all about being a DJ. There's many different paths you can take in this industry, you know. Once you find a solid team, a solid foundation and base to grow on and knowledge to share, it elevates a lot quicker when you come together. Again, talking about the importance of radio, and you have now streaming platforms that have taken precedent, taken a monopoly almost.
Well, look at the Spotify getting the Obamas on their podcast. You know, that's how big podcasts are. They're the future, as people are saying.
And radio is still important because essentially for me, radio now is in a car. When you're in the car, it's still that kind of element. Now, you got things on demand at the moment. So when you look back at how important radio has been through the years and the decades, and birthing new talent, creating globally renowned artists and music, and breaking new tunes first. You know, you used to hear a tune on the radio, it's like, what, I want that song.
Yeah.
You know, and then if
Pete
you look,
Tongs on a Friday,
you know,
in the UK, that would be the breaker.
Brilliant show. One of the only kind of big global shows that I would listen to quite regularly, if that makes sense. Other than that, it was always pirate, it was that kind of stuff. But if you look at where I come from, in a small, very, very underground, urban, UK, London-based station, I started there when I was 14. It's led me into this path here. We had Miss Dynamite on there, and she was unknown. Gone on to sell millions of albums, and probably one of the most respected and most successful female artists that Britain has birthed.
Yeah.
Especially coming from the urban scene, if that makes sense. You also had Charlie Sloth on the station at the same time.
Again, he was a big superstar on One Extra.
Biggest ever hip hop show.
Yeah.
You know, with BBC One Extra. So just from that small little area, small little camp, and there's been other people that have had relative success from there as well. But if you're talking about global success, Charlie Sloth and Miss Dynamite for sure.
Yeah.
So again, it's just the importance of what radio stands for and what community stands for.
Yeah.
What creating culture stands for. And that's, as I said, it's an initiative that I'm trying to drive forward and collaborate with people like yourselves and what you're doing. Dance FM, Red Bull culture to a certain degree. You know, they've got elements where they give back and they want to recognize new talent. So just trying to bring everyone together in this collaborative effort. I know I kind of repeat myself on it, but it's a message I'm trying to drill home.
Yeah, which we all are as well.
That's it.
Yeah, right. Okay, now we're going to do a bit of fun. Okay, so I have a theory, and we're going to ask this every person that gets interviewed as well, is that, you know, everyone's favourite tune will change week by week or day by day or whatever, but what would always be your second go-to tune?
It's difficult. It's difficult because depending on who you're playing to and where you're playing, one track that's stuck with me, and if I have the opportunity to play it, I always will, is a track DJ T, Sense, it's Tale of Us remix. And it takes me back to a golden era of when I play it, and if I play it at the right time, it's a song that not many people, especially newer people, would have heard or experienced in a nightclub, for example. So when I can, I'll play it. Normally towards the end of the night, I want to hand over to another DJ.
Yeah.
And it just adds a little bit of romance, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about flowery romance. I'm talking about dark, deep. Whoa. It just does something to me. And when I find the right moment to play it, I feel it's infectious with the crowd.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and that's probably the track that's stuck with me. When I can play it, I will. And it's not to say I play it week in, week out.
No. But as you said, when the opportunity arises...
Yeah, there'll be, whether I'm playing... when I played in a church in the AD 2014 or 15, I had the opportunity to play it. When I was in WMC, I had the opportunity to play it. I've had the opportunity to play it in Dubai. I played it at We Are Festival in the UK. So when I get the chance, I'll slip it in there. Yeah. And again, it's a very contrasting track, especially to what I'm playing at the moment. So if I can, boom, I will. Of course. That's it.
So the next bit we're going to do with our guests is just like a quick fire question, straight off the top of your head. Don't think about it. Just say the first thing comes out your mouth. You might get yourself into a bit of trouble here. So the first one we're going to say is, what's the best club you've played or would like to play worldwide in?
It's see, I always, as a DJ growing up in London, I always had a dream to play Fabric and Ministry. I've done both.
Brilliant.
But it kind of doesn't count. But I'd say Space, Ibiza. But obviously, it's closed now.
The sacred ground of Space, of course.
So the Terrace at Space, maybe 8 to 10 years ago.
Yeah,
if I could,
when there was no canopy.
Yeah, if I could time travel and boom, be at the height of my career and have everyone.
Yeah.
In front of me, then that would be it. I mean, other than that, there's some amazing clubs all around the world. Don't get me
wrong. Same question goes for a festival. What would be your go-to festival if you could?
Here's a funny one. Purely for production element, probably Tomorrowland, but Tomorrowland is not typically a festival that I would go to.
Of course, yeah.
So if you're looking at grandeur and production quality and just epicness, something along the lines of Tomorrowland. maybe BPM as it was again. You know, it's difficult.
Very much of the nostalgia bit, then you.
Yeah. You know, because I'm so tapped into what I'm doing, I don't get to experience.
Of course, yeah.
As much. It's been a pleasure playing for We Are Festival in the UK. Probably one of, if not the biggest festivals at the moment.
It's still a bit. It's a stable. It's a stalwart of the summer scene now. So
you know. And
then the last question is: so, give us an artist you would like to work with the most.
That's easy. Not even. I mean, I've been a producer for like as many years. I've been DJing almost 15 years or so. Not particularly for sound or output, but just to work with him. And I've met him twice, and he's the most interesting character ever for me. Is Seth Troxler.
Oh, Seth, yeah.
I love the dude. Yeah. He blows my mind. Like, I sat with him in a very intimate talk in Shoreditch many years ago. A guy who was kind of acting as my manager agent. He's like, look, I've got you into this talk with Seth Troxler. And I sat there and I just connected with him. And then afterwards, we were doing a kind of one-on-one going around. And whether he said it to help boost me or whatever, when he got introduced to me, he was like, oh, yo, Adam. Yeah, I know you.
Yeah, got the knew there.
He was like, yeah, I know you, man. I heard your stuff. And I was like, that again made me, whether he was saying it to elevate me or whether he genuinely meant it, sorry. I mean, we were in Shoreditch at the time, and that was my stomping ground.
Of course,
that was where I was playing week in, week out. So maybe he did hear of me. But for sure, if I could lock myself in the studio and just go on a mad journey with someone, work with someone, or go back to back, and just for pure fun and craziness, and
just to see what happened and where it went.
Just to see where it went.
Yeah.
You know, Seth Troxler.
Brilliant. Amazing. Right, Adam, I've had a great time. Cool. And I really appreciate you having a chat with me.
All good.
I'm pretty sure, I know I've learned a lot and enjoyed this chat, and I'm pretty sure the listeners were as well. So thanks for your time.
I spoke a lot as usual. I told you.
He loves it. Yeah, I know you love a chat. So, mate, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for your time.
Brilliant. Sweet.
So that was this week's show. Just want to say a big thank you to Adam Cotier for his time. Check out our show next week, where we will have Simon Colonnese giving us an exclusive guest mix. So from all of us here at EMA, thanks for listening and stay safe this week.